Hi, this is Mr. Moss, and in this video we're continuing to learn about how we can use bar models to represent different ideas in math, but today we're really focusing on how we can use bar models with multiplication. In the last video we were doing addition and subtraction. We're still going to be doing addition and subtraction, but we're going to add multiplication to the mix. So let's take a look. We always use bar models. Well, maybe not always, but we often use bar models when we're working with word problems. So let's take a look at this one. Isidore collects sports balls. He has 6 soccer balls. He has 3 times as many basketballs as soccer balls. And then he has 5 times as many he has 5 times as many basketballs as soccer balls. How many sports balls does he have in all? So we're going to start off this particular problem the same way we always start off a bar model, and that's by drawing a vertical line going down here where we're going to create our bars going to the right. So we know, let's go sentence by sentence. Isidore collects sports balls. Okay, that's just giving me some backgrounds. I don't need to do anything yet. He has 6 soccer balls. Okay, so that's helpful because I know that when it comes to soccer, he's got 6. I'm just going to arbitrarily pick a length here and call that 6. 6 soccer balls. So I'm all set with this sentence and the first one. He has 3 times as many baseballs as soccer balls. So let's look at baseballs. I'm going to do baseballs just because later on we're talking about basketball, so I can't use a B. 3 times as many baseballs as soccer balls. So I'm going to represent, I know that we've got 6 soccer balls, 3 times as many. Let me draw 3 more boxes here. 6, 6, and 6. Now, you could just look at that and say that's 18 and draw one big box and label that 18, but we really want to break it down and recognize that it's 3 times as much as our 6 here. And if you want to point out that that's 18, you can just label that 18 off to the right. All right, so we're good with this sentence. Now we've got basketballs. All right. So we've got now basketballs. He has 5 times as many basketballs as soccer balls. So once again, I know that there's 6 soccer balls. 5 times that, I'm going to make 5 groups here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I've got now my 5 groups of basketballs, 5 groups of 6. If you don't know your multiplication, hopefully you do, but you can always add that up. But hopefully you know that we've got 5 times 6, and that is 30. So we've got 6 soccer balls, 18 baseballs, and 30 basketballs. And the question that we need to answer is, how many sports balls does he have in all? And whenever we see in all, we know that we're going to be adding. So I'm going to put my brace right off to the side here, and it's showing me that I need to add these up. So I can just do my addition off to the side. 30 plus 18 plus 6. All right? So 0 plus 8, well, that's 8, plus 6 more, that's 14. 3 plus 1 is 5, telling me that we have a grand total of 54 sports balls. That's a lot in Isidore's collection, huh? So let's get a little bit more challenging, but you can see the idea that with equal groups in our bar models, we're able to do multiplication. Let's take a look at the next one. Now we had Isidore before, now we've got Ignacio. Ignacio mows lawns to earn extra money, because who doesn't like some extra money? He mowed 5 lawns in his first week. I'm already, as I read this, I'm getting a sense of how I need to set this up. I can tell that I'm probably going to talk about week 1. Maybe. Well, let's see. His customers were so happy and recommended him to their friends. He ended up mowing twice as many lawns in week 2. I'm just going to throw out week 2 right here. By week 3, he mowed 3 times as many lawns as in week 2 with the help of his friends. How many more lawns did he mow in week 3 than in his first week? All right. Well, if I go back here, Ignacio mows lawns to earn extra money. Okay, that's background knowledge. He mowed 5 lawns in his first week. So week 1, 5. And again, don't worry about whether the sizing is exactly the same. You know what? I had 5 right here. I think my box here showing 6 in the last problem was about the same size. It's not a big deal. We're just representing it. Getting it perfectly precise, totally not a big deal at all. His customers were so happy and recommended him to their friends, so he ended up mowing twice as many. Here's where we get the useful information. The whole part about his customers were so happy and recommended him, that's background knowledge. That's not necessary for us. What we do need to know is that he ended up mowing twice as many lawns in week 2. So if he mowed 5 lawns in week 1, he mowed 10 lawns in week 2. And again, somebody might want to come up here and draw one big box and write 10, but we don't want to do that yet. We want to recognize that that's 5 and 5, which is the same as 10. By week 3 now, he mowed 3 times as many lawns, but as in week 2. This is a little different. In the first problem, we were comparing everything to week 1. He has 3 times as many baseballs as soccer balls. We came back to soccer balls. He has 5 times as many basketballs as soccer balls. Everything was tying back to the soccer balls. But in this example, in week 3, he's mowing 3 times as many as in week 2. So I need to show that that's, oops, not particularly neat, first of all. That's 10, 10, and 10. And again, you could either, since I'm now building off this, I could call this 10, 10, and 10. Or I could have broken it up and done 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. He mowed 30 lawns here. So now let's look at what the question is asking, because this is now getting a little different. Before we were adding them up to find the total. Now let's see. How many more, oh, we finished that sentence. How many more lawns did he mow in week 3 than in his first week? So in his first week, we know that he mowed 5 lawns right over here. But in his third week, he mowed 30 lawns. So what I need to figure out is the difference between week 1 with 5 and week 3 with 30. Anytime we hear the word difference, anytime we see the word more like that, how many more or how many less or how many fewer, we know we're going to be subtracting. 30 minus 5, that's a great thing for mental math when you're in 4th grade, is 25 lawns. We always want to add our unit at the bottom here. I hope you can see that. We always want to add the unit at the bottom to make sure that we're showing what we're talking about. The answer is not 25. The answer is 25 lawns. All right, let's do one last problem. And this last problem is going to be a little trickier. We're getting further and further into this. And I hope that you're starting to see where the value of model drawing comes into play. That it's not just something that we're doing because the teacher's telling you to do it, but because it can really become a valuable tool for you to keep your information organized. So we started off with Isidore, we had Ignacio, now we have Ignatius. Ignatius went to the farmer's market. He bought a dozen ears of corn, he purchased 3 fewer squash than ears of corn, and he bought 4 times as many fingerling potatoes as squash. Who buys stuff this way? Well, I probably would, but right now we're trying to figure out if each item cost $2, how much money did he spend? You know, I'm reading this, there's a lot of numbers for me to keep track of here, so I'm going to slow down and I'm going to get myself organized. Once again, that vertical line here. Ignatius went to the farmer's market. Good for Ignatius. He bought a dozen ears of corn, so I'm just going to put here a C. And hopefully you know that a dozen is a word that represents the number 12. 12 ears of corn. Okay, done. He purchased 3 fewer squash than ears of corn. So let's take a look. Squash, 3 fewer. So I know that my bar is going to be smaller than 12 because he bought less, fewer pieces. So I'm just going to draw it about here. And when we do this, we're not going to label this 3, saying that he bought 3 fewer. 3 is not the quantity. 3 is the difference. So I know that he had 3 fewer ears of corn, 3 fewer squash, and I can just off to the side, you know what, I don't even need to write this down. 12 minus 3, I know that that's 9. All right, so I'm able to do my subtraction that way. Done. He bought 4 times as many. Wait, so as soon as I see 4 times, it's telling me we were doing subtraction here. Now we're going back to multiplication. He bought 4 times as many fingerling potatoes as squash. So let's take a look. Potatoes. Well, squash, I know that he bought 9 of. So if he bought 4 times as many fingerling potatoes, those are really tiny potatoes, so you often buy a lot of them. Here's another 9. That's 2 times as many. 3 times as many, 4 times as many. And take a look. This box is a little smaller than this box. It works. It's fine. You're just representing it. So we've got that taken care of. Now this is the cool part. I could do so many different calculations from this. I could figure out how many things he bought in total. I could figure out how many more potatoes he bought than squash. And by the way, let's just figure out our totals here. We know that this is 12, because that's what we told from the beginning. We know that he has 9 squash. 9 times 4. Hopefully you know that 9 times 4, 36. All right? So we've got our totals here. Let's read the question. If each item cost $2, how much money did he spend? Wow, so we're totally changing things up here. First thing that I need to do is figure out how many items he bought, because we're saying if each item cost $2, okay, well, how many items were there then? So I've got 36 plus 12 plus 9. I always like to add up numbers starting with the largest, working to the smallest. 6 plus 2, let's see, that's going to be 8 plus 9 is 17. 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So you bought 57 items. Now be careful. Somebody might look at that and say, hey, I'm done. 57 items. But let's read that question again. If each item cost $2, the real question is, how much money did he spend? 57 items, $2 an item. So I'll just put it over here. Really, my equation is 57 times 2. Now, you may know how to multiply 57 times 2, and if you do, that's great. Go ahead and find the answer. If you don't, we know that multiplication is really just repeated addition. So I can do 57 plus 57. 7 and 7, that's 14. Regroup that 1 there. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. That tells me it's 114. 114 what? Is it 114 items like before? No, it's how much money did he spend? $114. That's how much he spent. And you know what? I could totally spend that at a farmer's market. So this has been a good way to review bar models. I hope this was a helpful guide for you. Remember, you're going to see different word problems, and there are so many different ways that you can solve them using bar models. It really is a way to represent information and work with your numbers, keep them organized, and make sense for you. We'll keep practicing with these throughout the year. I hope this was a helpful guide for you. Have a great day.